Do I need the mic? I think everybody can hear me, right?
Mic is the best one, sir, because it is going to be recording.
Okay.
Then voice is
So how's everyone doing? Had your lunch? How was lunch? It was good?
Yes.
Why are you sitting behind? You should come forward. Come forward.
అందరూ ఎక్కడే కూర్చున్నారు ఎవరికి వచ్చింది మీరు కూడా ఇటు వచ్చింది మేడం ఇవన్నీ మనయే రండి మీరు ఎదురు కూర్చోవచ్చు ఎదురైతే కాళ్ళు చాపుకోవచ్చు సార్ మెడకి ఇది పుష్ బ్యాక్ వెళ్ళింది మళ్ళీ అక్కడికి
Much better, much better.
విన్నారండి ఈసారి I think he's listened to us. They listened it. What he said, they understand.
Okay. So this session, I will keep it very interactive with everyone because we have a small group and we'll try to keep it as much fun as possible. At the same time, my objective is that whenever we think of technology, we get very scared that, we are CAs, we can do audit. How can we do some technology? So I want to show you some examples where you can solve some very big and complicated problems also without doing any coding. Okay. So first, I want to tell you about why technology is important right now. What is this digital transformation? And most importantly, how it is affecting the world of finance. Okay. Then, since the topic of this session is mostly RPA, RPA stands for Robotics Process Automation. So I want to actually show you what these RPA bots, they actually look like. How can you start creating bots by yourself? And then some use cases which are going to be very useful for you as you basically want to take this up in your career. Okay. And then while we do this, whenever I'm conducting my session, we will keep it very informal. You can stop me and ask me questions whenever you want. You don't have to wait till the end. If you don't understand anything, if you have any questions, immediately ask me. Okay. Great. So I start with this statement. It says the world is changing and intelligence is leading that change. And the pace of that change is very rapid, right? Now, what do I mean by this statement that the pace of change is very rapid? Okay. Now, imagine that this is the entire history of the world right from the year 1400. Okay. From year 1400 onwards till about year 2050. If I will draw a curve of how the world has changed, that curve will look something like this. Okay, can anyone tell me what is the meaning of this kind of curve? What is it showing? Yes?
Neutral to massive.
Neutral to massive, okay, right? So from 1400s till about 1800s or 1900s, almost 500 years, it was linear. But from 1900 onwards, these days, the pace of technology is like this, that today there is one technology, tomorrow there'll be something else, okay? Let's break this down a little bit more. One major invention which happened in 1400 was the printing press. I will ask you a simple question. Before printing press, people were still producing newspapers and books? Yes or no? But how were they creating those books? Every book was handwritten. After the printing press has come, do you think that people are going to write books by hand? No. Is it a choice or is it mandatory? How is it a choice? Let's say some cases, no, but more than 90% cases, you want to create, say, 10,000 copies of your books. You will not write every copy, right? That was one major invention. 1600s, the other major invention came, which was the telescope, right? And then the third major invention was around 1750s, which was the steam engine. Now, these inventions are something which have really changed the way people live their life. This entire era of 350 years, right from the printing press to the steam engine, is what we call the Industrial Revolution 1. We've all studied Industrial Revolution in our history books, right? There have been actually 4 Industrial Revolutions. This is the first one. The second one was shorter, where you had the invention of the light bulb and the telephone, right? Now, once electricity came in, the capacity of innovation was much, much more higher. The third revolution was when you had your car, your television, and your PCs, okay? Now, the moment computers came in 1950s, after that, the fourth industrial revolution is just, it took less than 50 years from the first computer to mobile phones and microprocessors, right? This phone today, it has more computing power than all computers which existed in the 1950. Who would have thought about this, right? And from that till now, in just less than 20 years, you have all of these different things like artificial intelligence, automation, driverless cars, singularity, all of these different things, right? How many of you have heard about this very amazing conference called GITEX? Anybody heard about this? So this GITEX conference is a conference on technology. It happens every year in Dubai. I go there every year. Last year, they unveiled flying cars there. And those flying cars will actually be in the UAE region in the next 3 years, including more than 60% of transport to be converted to driverless vehicles. So imagine, how is it happening that it takes 500 years or 300 years for some inventions, and this space is turning out to be so massive? Can anybody tell me that what is resulting in this rapid change? Anyone? Sorry? Government policies, okay? Transparency, okay? Sorry? Requirement.
Reduce of the time consumption.
Okay. See,
Human
Yeah.
human interface.
Human interface. Great. Now, we never knew how to use knowledge properly, right? Now, with the dot-com boom and the internet, anybody's knowledge is everybody's knowledge, correct? So, with all of these inventions, where in just 20 years, you are seeing moving robots, flying cars, chat GPT, virtual assistant, and everything else, who knows what is there in the next 5 years? Those next 5 years can completely change who we are, right? Now, I just want to start with this because you need to understand that you have invested so much time and effort to build a career for yourself, and you are here today. But the way the world is changing, unless we evolve ourselves absolutely rapidly, just like the printing press, after it was invented, you did not have an option to write books by hand. After the steam engine, people who used to ride horse carriages, they didn't have a living, right? So what's happening today in the digital era, I want to give a perspective of that, right? Now let's zoom in more into this range of 1900 to 2050. This is more relatable to our time frame. Now in this range, mostly we are going to look at business process evolution. Everybody was focused on lower cost and better efficiency. That's the cornerstone of business, right? I want to get more done at lower cost. Businesses all around the world between 1900 and 1950, their core objective was to focus on core operations. At that point of time, can you tell me, in this period, 1900 to 1950, what were some of the biggest companies of the world? Or what industry segment? Microsoft came later. Ford, you're right. So Ford, General Motors, steel manufacturing plant, all these guys. The biggest companies were manufacturers and people who focused on core operations. Then what happened? These companies realized that if I want to grow further, I need information technology in place. That's when they started focus on all of the IT work, right? And all these technology companies started coming into play. Once they started coming into play, the next big boom was the whole BPO industry, right? India is known for the BPO industry, right? It gained a lot of power and potential there. So after these big global companies realized that, okay, I have done my IT, how do I save more cost? I can save more cost by outsourcing my work to low cost countries like India, Philippines, and all these places. Now, what's happening today? These companies have already done all of these things, and now they are realizing that this is not enough. I need to do more. What is that more? That is, today we are in the space of automated cognitive and intelligent processes, where these companies know that just outsourcing itself is not enough, because these companies, even if they're outsourcing work to India, there is still cost to it. What if they can automate that work themselves free of cost? How many of you have heard about these job cuts in the major IT companies? Yesterday I was talking to the managing director of Accenture, and he told me that 20,000 job cuts in Accenture, and all these different things which are happening. How are these things happening? These things are happening because these processes are being automated. They are the much more efficient way of doing business today, right? Now, this automation is across various themes like RPA, machine learning, artificial intelligence, blockchain, IoT. What does IoT stand for?
Internet of Things.
Internet of Things. What is AR, VR? Augmented reality, virtual reality. There are all these different themes which are out there. Now, out of all of these themes, let's zoom into this theme a little bit more. We are here concerned about finance, correct? If there are these automated, cognitive, intelligent processes, how is this affecting finance, right? So, as part of my work, I interact with many CFOs all over the world. And what is it that these CFOs want today? These CFOs want, or the major finance leaders want, number one, more than 90% automation of transactional finance and accounting, right? Earlier, you would have seen every company, they used to take about 1 month from book closure to publish the results. Now there are companies who are saying I can do it in 3 days. How is it possible? It's possible because they have automated most of their core areas of finance and accounting. More analytics and visual dashboards than data. This means that people don't want to look at data, even if even you will see this trend with the regulatory authorities also. Today, even the tax authority and everybody else have become very smart. They know they have more data about you than yourself. And it's not just data, but they have information. They will know exactly what question to ask you where. So how do you convert that data into insights and dashboards so that it is much more useful to people? Third, as I mentioned earlier, faster book closing, and you take lesser amount of time to publish results. Fourth, your compliance and filings, they have to be bulletproof. You have seen the data protection bill which has come in here. These regulations are going to get tighter and tighter and tighter. And the penalties for non-compliance, or you have seen these many cases where there are these startups and their books are all messed up, and there are these big four auditors and any big auditor who comes in, and they have seen so many cases where people have questioned the kind of books and auditors have resigned and all that. The compliance is going to be much more stringent, and the cost of making mistakes is going to be very, very massive. Today, see, we all, when you run your practice, you all make small mistakes in whatever you do. Today, it might not have a cost associated to it, but as you move forward, the cost of that is going to be very, very high. Next point is cloud-based reporting systems and automated reporting systems, right? Earlier, everybody used to have their books of accounts on one hard drive. There used to be an accountant, he has a hard drive, there is everything there. What happens if somebody runs away with that hard drive, or there's a fire or theft, etc., right? So there's a lot of emphasis on moving to the cloud and cloud-based reporting and cloud-based reporting systems. analytics and AI-driven audit mechanisms, and most importantly, no more random sampling, right? Many big companies are now coming and saying that I don't want you to do random sampling, because it becomes easier for a company to conceal any fraud that they might have done amongst a large data set. If somebody does random sampling, it's easy to miss. Today, with data analytics tool, CAT tools, and various other tools, why do you have to work with sample data? Take everything, analyze every single record, right? Tomorrow, if you are an auditor, right, your value will be much greater if you go and say that, look, I have systems in place. I will make sure I will analyze every single journal entry. I am not going to oversee anything. And slowly the trend is over the next few years, you will see analytics and AI-driven audit mechanisms. Reporting integration with smart assistants is the next theme, where people are going to have a scenario that you open up your mobile and you say, hey, Alexa, please tell me my ledger account balance. Or Alexa, can you please reconcile my bank statements for me? Right? So a lot of companies are actually building examples and use cases like these today. So if these things can happen, don't you think it is exciting times if you can also do this for your practice? But the moment I say, you are like, oh my God, it's so difficult. How can I do? I don't understand any of these things, right? That's the purpose of this session, that I want to show you that it's not as difficult as you think to do these things for yourself. So the finance professional of the future, which means all of us here, will have no choice but to be extremely well versed with digital technologies to meet all of these different needs, right? Now, you are thinking this, I am a finance professional. This is too much technology. I cannot do anything about it, right? This is where there is a technology which comes to your rescue. This technology is called robotics process automation. What this technology does is that, imagine if you can automate some of your mundane things. Like, for example, you are going to authorities' websites, downloading reports, then creating filters, creating pivot tables. Why do you have to do the same repetitive things all the time? Have you ever thought about this? I'm sure you have thought of, why I have to do like this every time. What if you can yourself create small programs to automate all these things? That can be done with the help of this technology called RPA. It is a combination of predefined templates, workflows, and rules, right? Which can help you just drag and drop things, and based on that, you can automate your workflows. It is considered as one of the easiest, quickest, and most cost-effective technologies to automate the world of finance and accounts. Now, before I proceed, I want to show you that what an RPA bot looks like, right? And see very carefully.
Ik ben hier vandaag om het op te nemen tegen een robot. En ik ben van plan om die robots even hard in te maken.
Hoe gaat het, man? Hè? Het gaat heel goed. Hoeveel?
So this is basically a competition between a group of CAs and one single robot, where a group of CAs they are processing invoices, and one single robot is also processing invoices. So let's see how this goes.
Van deze dossiers heb je al gedaan?
Ik heb nu net de 31ste factuur verstuurd.
30 facturen al. Jij?
Ja, ik heb een iets moeilijker budget of pakket gekregen, denk ik. Ik zit op 23.
Wat zien we nou eigenlijk? Wat gebeurt er op dit moment?
Er is een Excel-bestand, heeft de robot ingelezen. En al die variabelen trekt hij uit het Excel-bestand, zet hij hier in de velden. Wordt heel snel gegenereerd en ingezet. Veel sneller dan een persoon dat zou kunnen doen.
Goh,
En
zo kan niemand
vervolgens
tikken, ja?
wordt hier de invoice gecreëerd. PDF-bestand slaat de robot op en hij gaat door naar de volgende rij in het Excel-bestand.
Volgens mij hadden de 3 werkstudenten gezamenlijk 129 facturen gemaakt in een klein uur tijd. En
Okay, so this was in Dutch language, so we don't need this. So in this case, the three people, they processed 192 invoices. One single bot did 500 invoices in the same period of time. Okay, I'll show you one more video.
Robots can work with multiple applications simultaneously. In the next example, our robot will work with 7 applications at once: Excel, Word, PDF, email, SAP, terminals, and Salesforce. The Excel file contains the name, email, SAP number, and an individual code for each person. The robot will first read this data, then open the terminal, input each person's code, and get all the data from the terminal. The emails from the CSV will be input into Salesforce to find every employee, and then the expense data from the terminal will be added into the expense row. After this, the robot will create a Word document from a template with a status report for each person. The Word file will then be converted to PDF and sent as an email attachment. Finally, the robot will find the employee's position in SAP, and with all of the above data, will populate the Excel file used in the beginning. Now, let's start the robot and explain the process in more detail. The robot will start by opening the terminal, Salesforce, and SAP, and by logging into all 3 systems, preparing all the applications it will work with. It will browse the pages of the terminal and find the ID of the first employee. Then identify the same person in Salesforce based on their email address. The expenses are then added in Expense IT, the Word template filled in, converted to PDF, and sent as an email attachment. The robot then finds the position of the person in SAP, then moves on to the second person, looking for the ID in the terminal. After collecting the data, the robot sees that Salesforce does not display an account for Joan, so it creates one. After doing this, it fills the expenses on Joan's account, creates the Word document, converts it to PDF, and sends it as an email attachment. Then the robot moves on to the third person, and so on. Fast forwarding, we can see that all the data is completed in the Excel file for each person, and the emails for each person are sent with a PDF attachment.
So what did that look like to you? Did you understand what was happening there? Don't we always work with multiple applications? Right? There's an Excel, there's Word, there is PDF, there is emails, and you keep on repeating the same process by yourself, right? Here was the example of a bot which can open everything at the same time. Has anybody worked with Excel macros in the past? Raise your hands. Any work done with Excel macros? No. So Excel macros are basically ways in which within Excel you can do some simple automation, right? So whatever you do as a human user, you move your mouse, you write keywords, all of those things can be automated. Now the exciting part is, what if I told you this kind of a bot you can create by yourself, from sitting today with no knowledge to training yourself for free to building for free in less than 20 days? Do you think that's exciting? That is where technology has brought us today, right? So what is RPA? You know, just like we saw those industrial revolutions, right, where you had machines. What machines do? They repeat a process over and over again. So just like industrial robots are remaking the manufacturing industry, by creating higher production rates and all of those things. RPA robots are not physical robots, but they are virtual robots. They are software robots. And what these software robots do is that they automate all of your business processes, right? So all of these job cuts which you are hearing of, they are basically people being replaced by these RPA robots. Any process which is rule driven, repeated, they can be automated using RPA. And this is the most in demand and the most premium skill set which is available today in the market. The demand for an RPA expert who knows finance, there are hardly very few people who are there in industry right now. And you will be shocked to know what kind of pay these people have and how easy it is to learn this. See, whenever we think of technology, we automatically think that it is coding. I have to learn a programming language and all these things. That technology is not there anymore today, right? You have seen ChatGPT, right? In today's session, did you see ChatGPT? Do you need to code to use ChatGPT? No, but it is powerful. It can do things for you. RPA is also just like that. You don't need to code, but you need to understand the business logic. For example, let's say you want to do GST reconciliation. You know what reports you need to download, what you have to compare. As long as you know that, you can just learn this RPA tools. It's not very difficult. And you can create these bots by yourself, right? So what is RPA? There are some usual myths associated with them. First of all, are they virtual bots or are they physical bots? Virtual bots, right? Okay. Now I'll ask you a question. Is RPA only for high volume operations? What is the meaning of high volume? It means it needs to have hundreds of transactions repeated again and again and again and again. People usually think that RPA is only useful for high volume operations, but this is not true. Sometimes the cost of going wrong is very high, right? Suppose you are doing the tax filing for a listed company with taxes in hundreds of crores. You miss 1 zero. What is the cost of that penalty? So in those scenarios also, if you use systems and processes, it is much better off. Third question to you. Now, does anybody here know SAP or Oracle or any ERP? Any experience with that? SAP, right? Now, around say 10 to 15 years back, everybody wanted to learn SAP, right? You remember, right? There were these training coaching institute. They used to charge 50,000 rupees, 1 lakh rupees for this SAP certification. And companies were all procuring SAP. They have to take one big server room, deploy these 4 or 5 servers. Then they will spend crores of rupees to take licenses and install SAP, configure it, train people on it. It will take crores of investment, 2 years of time. That is the technology of 15, 20 years back. Today, for technologies like RPA, you can just open your laptop, go to a website, download a 100 MB file and install it. And that's RPA. You don't need servers, you don't need expensive training, you don't need 2 years of implementation. Most of the use cases can be implemented in 1 or 2 weeks of time. Okay. So it is not a large IT systems integration project. It can be very, very small. Now, one more big point, I'll ask this question. Do you think that they will completely replace all human jobs? How many of you think yes? Raise your hands. How many of you think no? There are some people who don't think at all. Okay. They do not replace human jobs. Okay. I'll explain this to you, right? See, if you take any big company, right? Whenever I go and talk to people about RPA, I tell people that go implement RPA. They're like, oh, you have come here to take my job. I will build a bot and then they will fire me, right? For any growing company, do companies hire new people? Yes. Do people automatically retire in companies? They do no. What people do with RPA is that, see, definitely repetitive jobs will go away, but people can do more value-added work, right? People can be promoted earlier. You can do analysis rather than just reporting. So yes, it saves hours, but it does not fully replace humans. And it increases the possibility of value-added work. Last most important point, this is for people who think RPA is expensive. The average payback period or ROI is just 3 months. Within 3 months, you can recover the cost and then it starts saving money for you. Okay. So to summarize once again, it reduces the human efforts by between 20% to 50%. It is accurate with almost 100% accuracy because it is rule-based. It is faster by more than 2 times. It is cheaper. It reduces your operating expenses by 20%. It is non-intrusive, meaning what? You don't need servers, you don't need complicated implementation. It's very simple to implement and you get ROI very, very quick. Now the question comes, this is the most important question for you. Okay, good. You told me about RPA. It sounds interesting. Where should I implement it? And how should I start? Correct?
Yes.
First of all, the question number 1 is, what processes can be automated? So this is a guide for you to choose the processes which are the best fit for automation. Number 1, processes that are highly manual and repetitive, which means you do the same steps again and again and again and again. Those processes are very good for automation. Second, which are rule-based. See, for processes where every time you have to see and decide, oh, let me think what I will do this. Those processes are not suitable for automation. Only processes where rules are defined, they are suitable. Processes with low exception rate means what again? That there are less exceptions, more standard way of processing. Processes with high volumes, processes which are mature and stable. So all of these different things, right? Now that you have seen the automation video which I showed you and this, now I want you to tell me, can you think of any areas in your day-to-day work which you think can be automated? Anybody can tell me. Yes? Invoicing? Invoice what? What an invoice?
Completion of our work when we want to raise the invoice to the client. So quickly the invoice.
Okay, very good. Yes. Raising invoices definitely can be automated. What else?
Salary processing plan.
Very good. Absolutely. Salary processing is a regular work. There's an Excel file. You can, based on an Excel file, just send salaries. Yes. What else? Yes, sir.
It's a robotic stuff.
Yeah. Correct. What else?
Follow procedures with the data.
Follow procedures with data. Absolutely. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Reminders to clients.
Reminders to clients. Due date reminders. Do you think it will not simplify your life a little bit? Even if you do reminders, right? Simple things, no. See, many a times you have to write emails to your client asking for data. They will not send. You will follow up. Then one day you will forget to follow up. Then your date, you've made a wrong return filing. Then client comes to you, you said, oh, I asked for data, you did not send. What if you can build one simple bot which will just continuously follow up till the time he sends it to you, right? And once you receive the data, it stops following up. It can go one level deeper. Okay, let's say you want your client to fill one Excel sheet and there needs to be one attachment. You can create a bot which will first continuously follow up. Once the data comes, they will not stop the follow-up. The bot will go and check if the data is correct. Have they filled up everything in the Excel sheet? Is the attachment the correct attachment? If it is not, it can reply to the client saying that, thank you for sending the data, but you missed filling up these pieces. And then it can stop. And to create this automation, it will take only 20 minutes. In 20 minutes, you can create this automation and imagine the amount of problem it will solve for you. I'll give you one more example. For audit, you also need to do vendor balance reconfirmation, correct? You will call vendors, you will check every ledger, you will do everything. We create a small bot which will automatically send emails to all the vendors, continuously follow up. When the amount comes, it can match with your books and it can give you a report with all the mismatches, right? Yes, guys, any use cases from you? I want to really hear. Think about it. What can you automate? I will proceed once I hear 2 more use cases. Anyone can tell.
How to create that plot, sir? Any program we have to do?
I will cover that. First, we are brainstorming. If I knew how to do it, what I will do with it. Okay, first you need that excitement. What I will do with it, right? Sorry, entire business automation. Very good. See, if everybody can start thinking like you, believe me, the whole profession will change. There are people who have done that also, you know.
Sir,
Hmm.
sorry to disturb you.
Yeah.
Once the tally data is completed, what we need to do is we will extract the financial statements. Extract as PDF balance sheet, extract as PDF P&L, unsecured loans, secured loans, capital account. Instead of opening everything, can I write something so that all will come and sit on my desktop?
Yes. Yes. I actually showed this to sir in the morning today.
Because for let us say I have 100 tax entities. For every fellow, after finalizing, I am not saying that I will not check the account. After finalizing everything, I have completed. But the final phase, I need to extract all these statements.
Yes, you can do it, sir.
Okay. That will help us.
Okay, now one more. One more. And then I proceed. Tell me. Good. Entire business automation. Okay, great. So now, see, till now what we have seen what is RPA, little bit of glimpse we have seen, and what kind of processes should we automate, and we have some idea, right?
Sir, one thing, our income tax return software, what we use, there they have introduced some features like it will automatically import the 26AS.
Correct.
It will import the AIS statement.
Yes.
And if we click a fill to appropriate heads.
Yes.
If we click that, the AIS information will go and sit in that appropriate head.
Correct. The technology behind this is RPA. This is exactly what RPA does. They are using RPA behind that system to do this.
In 26AS, we have dividend TDS. If I click one button in my income tax software, all that TDS, it will go and populate in income from other dividend. In income from other sources and the dividend head, all these will go and populate.
Correct. That is exactly what RPA does. Now, imagine if you can create software like this.
Right.
That is what I'm trying to tell you. Okay. Now we come to the question of how do I create? Okay, I am curious. I am interested. Now, what do I do? There are many different tools. Okay. For working with RPA. Just like if you want to do programming, there are programming languages which are difficult to learn. For creating RPA, there are RPA tools which are easy to learn. Globally, the leaders are people like Automation Anywhere is a leader, UiPath is a leader, Blue Prism is a leader. Okay, but this is 1 year old slide. Now, Microsoft have come out with their own automation tool. It's called Microsoft Power Automate. You should remember this. Microsoft Power Automate, okay? You can start learning RPA on your own for free with Microsoft Power Automate. All these software earlier, these are all expensive softwares. Expensive in the sense, if you want to buy one license of one bot, it costs you 8-9 lakh rupees every year for just one license. But Microsoft Power Automate is free, right? I'll actually show you quickly how to access that one. So you have to go to office.com and then you have to go to apps. So anybody who has an office.com account, Office 365 account, by default, you have access to the Power Automate. So you have to go to your Office 365 account. You have to click on apps here and all these different apps will come. One of the apps here is Power Automate. Okay, this you must remember. If you don't have an Office account, you please create one. You can create Office account for free also. Even if you want to go for the paid version, it is just 125 rupees a month. Okay. Once you do that, you come here, you go to Power Automate. Once you go here, the very first thing you will see are these learning videos. This is how you learn. Okay. From here, you can learn various different things. You go to see all, and you will see all the different courses which are available. So in this learning section, you have to make sure that you have selected only this Power Automate. Okay. And then you will see all these different learning here. There are more than 150 videos present here. You select your preference, area of preference, and start learning. Start learning and doing. Believe me, your life will change. Whatever things Sir spoke about, and you spoke about, and even you spoke about of automating your whole business, you can start and you will start, your life will become exciting. Then you will not think anymore that, oh, I have to, create one report, but you think, oh, I have to create this report. Wait, let me go and automate it. And it's so simple. I'll show you an example. You just click on create. There are many different types of flows here. This cloud flow means it is based on emails coming in. It will automatically read all your emails or all your online events, and based on that, it will create automation. The desktop flow is example of the video I showed you, where on the desktop, it can open many applications, it can move through everything. So this is the complicated one. This you do later, but first you do something like a cloud flow. Then you also have something like a instant cloud flow. So I'll give you an example. Here, if you select, you have to select a flow name, and then there are many different options available. When an email is received, when a new message is received, and then based on that, you can just create. So I don't want to get into the creation part today, but it is very easy for you to use. Okay. So this is basically how you get started. Now, coming back till now, what we have covered, we have seen an RPA bot. We know what RPA is. We understand that what are the area, how to identify processes within RPA. We have also seen where do we learn, what tool do we use, some examples. Now, systematically, if you want to go one level deeper and achieve some complicated tasks with the help of automation, usually there is this kind of a plan, right? First, you have to identify a business process. Okay. Now, you are either doing audit or taxation or advisory consulting. Create a full map of everything you do. List down every single activity you do. Okay. Once you have listed down every activity, think mentally, which one of these activities has the most number of manual steps? And you pick that. So that is this step number 1 and 2. Identify process, select transactions to be automated. Okay. After you have done that, you should ask yourself, why should I automate? What is the benefit to me? Your benefit to you can either be you can save your time, or let's say you take maybe 4 days to prepare one report. But if you automate, you can create 400 reports in one day. Right? So maybe you can do more business. You can get more number of clients with less number of resources. Right? So you first define that. After that, you create the mapping of on the software and you do the testing and you make it live. Any RPA tool which you build, you have to make sure you test it thoroughly with different scenarios, change the format of the file and see if it is working or not. Okay. Now, I took some answers from you that what you should automate. Now, I will also give you some examples of what you should automate, right? Usually, there are two types of processes in finance. First is what is called the transactional finance and accounting. Here you have the procure to pay, order to cash, and record to report. This is the AP process, the AR process, and the whole accounting process. Then you have some special functions like financial planning and analysis, treasury, taxation, legal, audit, etc. For all these, I have created a map for you where whatever you see in green, this has a very high automation potential. Whatever you see in red, it has a very low automation potential. Okay. Sorry. And then you have something in the middle. So this is mostly like a map. If you look at procure to pay, things like invoice processing, scanning and indexing, reading an invoice, extracting data, very high potential of automation. Similarly, in the record to report, your accounting, closing and reporting, bank reconciliation, account reconciliation. Sir, what you are saying is actually a form of reconciliation, where you're reconciling various different tax reports, right? Very high potential of automation. FP&A MIS reporting, this is the favorite. Almost everybody who starts with automation, they will either start with MIS reporting or they will start with invoice processing. Okay. So these are various examples which you can do for audit, data collection. Simple things, no, you have to collect some management reports, management comments sometimes. You should create standard forms, send it to them, and create an automation that when somebody has filled a form, it is sending you an email. These simple things will also make others feel that you are doing your work in a much more professional manner and you will feel very good about yourself, right? Now, I will give you an example of invoice processing, something similar to what you said, but on the opposite side. See, imagine that there is a company which is receiving 10,000 invoices every month. They have an AP team of about 20 people who is just sitting, opening an invoice, reading data, doing entry, matching it with purchase order, matching it with the GRN, doing two-way match, three-way match. Very cumbersome process, right? So I will show you an example of how this whole thing can be automated. Okay, so here you imagine that this mailbox is like the accounts payable mailbox. Okay, all vendors are supposed to send all invoices in email to this mailbox. Correct? What the bot will do first is it will read the emails and it will go through every single email. It will check which email has an attachment. For the emails which have attachments, it will check if the attachment is an invoice or not. Step 1 is to just segregate all emails, download all the attachments, and classify invoices into two types, PO based or non-PO based. Correct? So you see now this bot will do it. This is basically the mailbox, and we are starting the bot now. The bot always works in the background, right? So it will happen behind the scenes on its own. So it will first go and see this. It is now downloading these invoices. And once it is done, you see a message, saw one email, 4 PDFs, valid PDFs, all 4, etc., etc. Then it starts storing it under various folders on your hard drive. It will classify them into various categories, right? Like how many of them had valid PO, non-valid invoices, so on and so forth. So the category of folders will look something like this. First folder is email download PDF, email extracted PDF. What is the difference? See, every invoice will be of a different format, correct? Because any company is free to use whatever format. But when you enter it in your books or your ERP or Tally, there is the same format you have to enter, same fields. So you have to convert different format invoices into the same format of data. That process is the extraction process. So here you will see that under email download PDF, it is empty because the bot has already extracted the data and moved everything into extracted. Now we will open up one sample invoice and see what it looks like. Invoice typically will look like this. It is going to have all your fields like purchase order, invoice number, date, name of the party, name of the invoice to party, the details of the address, the line item details, tax details, etc., etc. And each invoice can have a different format. This data is going to get extracted into an Excel file or a CSV file like this. If you open this, you will see it is going to have all of these fields that you basically need. Serial number, vendor name, vendor number, supplier, invoice number, currency, amount, GL date, etc., etc., etc. So this example, yes.
Can we apply this for bank statements?
Of course, you can. Any kind of data. And the fields are defined by you. These fields are defined here because in Oracle ERP, it has to be entered like this. So continuing, what happens is it just downloads and extracts. And if you just, open up and compare the invoice with the extracted data, you will see everything will match, right? So if you, for example, just compare these two pieces of things, there is a latch that will open up. Yeah, so whatever is here, it comes here. And it took the bot only 4 or 5 seconds to completely process 4 invoices, right? Download, classify, extract, standardize the format, 1 or 2 seconds per invoice. If a human being would do it, he will easily take at least 3 minutes. Imagine the difference of speed. This is step number 1. Once all this is done, then the next step is to actually make the data entry. So next step, what we will see is to make the data entry into the ERP system. Usually what you will do, you will log in, you will enter the transaction code, you will go to a certain place, fill up all these things. You will see all these things will happen on its own, right? So just carefully see. It has opened the Oracle, it is put in username and password. It has entered very quickly. It is navigating through various screens. It has done very quickly. You're not able to see also. And then finally, the whole ERP system is loading. Pop-ups will also come. It can navigate pop-ups. If CAPTCHA comes, it can solve that CAPTCHA also. And finally, you move forward. and you've come to the place where you will select invoices, and then you will just move this forward a little bit. And finally, you come to this place where you have to do the data entry. So first you enter a batch name. This batch name is automatically entered. Now this has opened up. You will see now this data which is being entered, this is being done by the bot. The bot will first enter the header level details of the invoice, right? So first it will here start entering the header level details. See here, this has started entering the header level details, the amount, the ship to address. Now it is also checking with the PO. Since it was a PO based invoice, it found the PO in the system. The quantity was within PO limit, so it's proceeding. After it is done, it is now entering the line item level details. Once all these things are done, you can basically see it will move forward. It will send it for approval. Then the internal approval process will start. And finally, the journal entry will get created, it will get done. So imagine this system where right from the moment an invoice comes in to the point it is ready for payment, nobody touches it. And you can create rules saying that if the invoice is from a certain specific vendor, it must go to person one for approval. If it is from a different vendor, it should go there for approval. If the value exceeds a certain amount, then it should go to someone else for approval. So on and so forth, right? And then the whole process will keep on repeating. So that was one example I wanted to show you.
In this automation task,
now I'll show you another example where this is a reporting example. In reporting, typically you see many use cases where you have to download data from Tally or download data from SAP, create lots of pivot tables, put in a lot of different, let's say there are 10 different entities. You want to extract a specific ledger balance in every entity. So first you have to go to Tally and select the entity, go to that, select that ledger, put the time period, put configuration, download, then do it again and again and again. These things, how you can automate using RPA.
SAP which is being automated to generate the report and populate the MIS template format in Excel. So the bot will log into SAP using the credentials. Then it will enter the relevant T codes, material codes, the period, the plant code, and other details. And one by one, it will download the respective reports which are along with the various GL codes. Once the reports are downloaded by the bot, then the bot will pick up those reports and populate the MIS template in Excel one by one in the relevant sheets. So there are around 18 sheets with the multiple columns in the cells. Month-wise, the yearly data will be filled out.
Because the internet is slow, you can't see it, but it is moving at a very, very fast pace, right? It will go and download everything and get the report for you. In this case, for this automation, it took them a team of 2 chartered accountants working for 3 days to create this report every month. After automation, it took 10 minutes and 1 click. That was an example. So this is also like, one more example of a slightly more bigger flow within procure to pay, record to report, order to cash. I showed you one map earlier. This is a much more detailed map of which processes can be automated. Maybe I will share this PPT with you, Chairman Sir, and you can circulate for everyone's benefit, right? So now in the end, I want to open this up for interaction and questions, where if you have any questions, I will take those questions up, and I want to, see what is it that you want to learn more. But to conclude, I just want to compare the finance of yesterday versus the finance of tomorrow. So for the finance of yesterday, when you used to have tax filing services, tomorrow it will be changed with tax filing automation. From traditional audit and assurance, we will move to AI and automation driven audit. And even today, you are seeing lots of examples of new companies and services and solutions which are coming up saying AI driven tax filing, AI driven this, AI driven that, right? I used to talk about this slide almost 2 years back when I started doing this work with ICI and DAB of spreading awareness. And today you see whatever I used to talk about that time, it has already materialized, right? Push-based MIS and reporting is replaced with analytics and visualization on the cloud. Traditional transaction advisory is changed with decision impact forecasting. Earlier, when clients used to reach out to you based on your requirements and your demand, you can change that with analytics driven demand generation. You can use analytics to tell customers that maybe you need these kind of services. Earlier, where finance was seen as a support function, today finance is seen integrated with businesses. In all major corporate decisions, it's not like the business team will make that decision, but it is a combination of the business team with finance. Earlier, finance used to respond to business needs. Now finance forecasts what is going to be the business outcome. The manual push-based reporting is changed to cloud-based automated reporting. Your entire bookkeeping, which used to be manual earlier, the controllership function, is now changed to RPA-driven controllership. Traditional internal audit is changed to artificial intelligence and RPA-driven internal audit. And descriptive reporting, just describing things, is being changed to predictive analytics, where your role is not only to report what has happened, but to predict what is going to happen, right? Internal audit teams and internal control teams are implementing AI today, where they can look at the books of accounts every minute and predict what may happen tomorrow by looking at patterns, looking at frauds, so on and so forth. So you need to remember that RPA is dominated by process. You know the process. The IT people don't know the process. They don't know how finance processes work. Technology is just an enabler. And it's a very big opportunity for all CAs to transform the world of finance. But it is up to you whether you want to be a part of this game or not. And believe me, it's not difficult. You think it is difficult, it is tough, but it's not, right? So I will just end there, and you have my email address and my LinkedIn in case you want to be in touch. And of course, I can take your questions now if there are any questions. You have a question?
Instead of preparation, if we buy the bot, how much cost it is?
See, it is not always true that that same bot will be available for you. You need to customize it to your environment, to your tool, to your specific needs. But if you buy it, it may be expensive. Creating is better. See, if you are hungry, if somebody is hungry, don't give them the fish, you should teach them how to go fishing, right? And it will feed them for their life. So you should learn it. Rather, buying is an easy solution. Okay, guys, thank you so much for your time. I hope that this is of some use for you and it ignites some curiosity and you are able to do something in the future. Thank you.
Any suggested references for learning?
Microsoft Power Automate. Just go to that office.com, applications, Power Automate, learn from the videos.
Is it enough to create for our?
More than enough. You can overtake all the IT people. But you have to be patient, you have to be dedicated. It won't happen overnight. Sometimes you will make errors, you will get frustrated, oh my God, it's not happening. But stick to it and you see you'll be able to go there.
Can we incorporate in clients?
Why not? You need to take their permission and you can. It's a business area also. There are many CAs who are charging for these kind of services.
So friends, any more doubts? Or